Ghana is actually making a huge leap forward with a new steel production plant, ladies and gentlemen. This isn't just about a factory, it is a game changer for Ghana and of course the wider region. The plant was actually commissioned and of course dedicated by John Dramani Mahama, that is the president and defender of the state, okay, in the Ningo Pram municipality, marking a major milestone in the country's industrial growth. Guess what? The B5-Plus group, which actually builds the country, the plant has already made a significant impact. The steel plant will actually not only increase Ghana's ability to produce steel, but also support jobs and of course local business. This is very important because it shows how public policies, private investment and of course innovation can actually work together for the development of the country. This plant isn't just about making steel, it is about making Ghana a stronger economy. The plant will actually produce things like structural steel, which is actually used for buildings and of course roads, and of course grinding bars for the minor sector. There will also be pre-engineered building system that can actually help build factories, warehouses and of course other big structures. This plant is actually critical for Ghana and of course could actually inspire other countries to actually take similar steps in their own development, ladies and gentlemen. But the story doesn't actually end here. This new steel plant could actually spark a bigger change across the entire region. Now the question is very simple, ladies and gentlemen. How does this affect the Sahel states and of course all of Africa? Well, it could actually be the first step towards a more connected and of course independent Africa when it comes to industries like steel production. Let us actually dive deeper into how Ghana's new steel plant is actually expected to change things for the country and of course the rest of Africa in few seconds, ladies and gentlemen. Now before we actually do this, remember this happened to be a Pan-African community where we actually give analysis on African daily development like this. So make sure that you're going to join us, like, subscribe and turn on notification bell. This incredible support happen to be a fuel which is actually going to keep us pushing forward more development analysis like this to you. Here's where the story takes an interesting turn. This new steel plant isn't just a win for Ghana alone. It could actually be a game changer for the whole African continent. The new plant aligns perfectly with the growth happening in the Sahel state or region. These countries which are part of Africa's belt of development, ladies and gentlemen, are facing similar challenges. They need better infrastructure, more jobs and of course a stronger economy. Ghana is actually showing the way. As President John Dramani Mahama said or mentioned in a quote, reducing steel import by just 20 to 30% every year could actually save Ghana hundreds of millions of dollars. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that is a lot of money that could actually be reinvested into other important areas or domains, okay, like health and of course education. But it is not just about the money itself. By producing its own steel, ladies and gentlemen, Ghana can actually rely less on import from outside Africa, and this could actually boost to local businesses and strengthen the African economy. Ladies and gentlemen, this is actually a turning point for Africa and Ghana. The steel plants could actually inspire other countries in the Sahel region to build similar plants. These plants will actually create jobs and of course reduce costs and help build the infrastructure needed for Africa's growth. The steel plants could actually also become a model for the rest of the continent. Ladies and gentlemen, it could actually show that African states or countries don't have to rely on other countries or states for their industrial needs. Instead, they can actually create their own solutions. Ladies and gentlemen, as exciting as this is, let us actually look at the reactions from both the public and of course officials. What are they saying about this change? The steel plants is actually opening doors for so many people, ladies and gentlemen. It is not just about steel, it is about creating jobs and of course supporting small businesses. Hundreds of direct and of course indirect jobs are expected to come from this particular project. Ladies and gentlemen, guess what? These jobs won't just help the people working at the plants, they will actually also boost local businesses around it. The plants CEO, okay, the plants CEO Mukesh Takwani shared his excitement and of course happiness. He said that this plant is actually a proud contribution to Ghana's goal of becoming more self-sufficient in steel production. For years, Ghana has actually relied on steel imports, which cost a lot of money. With this new plant, they will actually save hundreds of millions of dollars every year, ladies and gentlemen, and that is just the start. Okay, steel is actually a key material in construction specifically. If Ghana can actually produce its own steel, ladies and gentlemen, it will also be able to support other industries, ladies and gentlemen, like mining. All of this means more growth for the economy, more jobs for people, and of course, a stronger country. This is more than just a steel plant. It is part of a bigger plan to make Ghana, and of course, it's even the Sahel state more industrially independent. Ghana's new steel plant is not just about steel, ladies and gentlemen. It is about showing Africa what is actually possible. It is about setting an example for other African states in the Sahel, and of course, across the continent, the whole continent, with more African states or countries making their own steel, ladies and gentlemen. The continent, okay, could actually become a stronger player on the global stage. Okay, their plants also represent the future. It is a major step toward industrial independence. As the steel production rises, so will other industries. The new plants could actually eventually lead to more factories, more jobs, and of course a more stable economy in Ghana. And as other countries in Africa follow suit, the whole continent could actually see significant economic growth in the long term. This could actually be the beginning of a new era for Africa. It is a sign that the continent is actually gradually moving away from relying on import and of course instead building up its own industries. This is the kind of change that will actually help Africa reach its full potential. Ladies and gentlemen, as we actually wrap up, ladies and gentlemen, keep an eye on this story. It is still developing, and of course the full impacts of Ghana's new plant will actually unfold in the days and years to come. This is actually a story that will actually change the future of Africa. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for watching. Like and of course subscribe if you haven't actually done that earlier. Don't forget to actually also share it so that the important people as you